I managed to get my too small of bearing puller to work. I bought a threaded rod and cut it longer than what was in the kit and hooked it around that ring, and it comes off very easily, too easily if anything. I think you could probably even do it with some of those wedged shaped wooden shims and tap them in, but this is working, and the bearing is coming off the shaft, not so much the bearing out of the case. I think coming out of the case is easy as well. I was able to move it back and forth by hand. So here you can see the bearing coming up the shaft. I had to put a block of wood there just to keep the gears from, or the shaft from turning. Okay, bearing is off. I thought I detected a little roughness if I put my finger in and pull up underneath and push down with my knuckle and down with my thumb, so there's some kind of awkward pressure on it, and rotate it. Sometimes I felt a little catch, but the bearing feels very tight otherwise, so I'm gonna look at it more later. There's a look with the bearing out. So now I believe I can easily remove this main shaft and gears. Okay, main shaft is out. I had put a couple zip ties on here just to hopefully keep all this from falling apart, and it seems to have worked. And there's the counter shaft sitting down on the bottom and the reverse gear. And I can just pull this reverse gear shaft out. It moves back and forth freely. And remove that. And I should be able to lift the counter shaft out. Okay, the counter shaft is out. You can't, at least I couldn't lift it straight up and get it out. It would bind. I had to work this rear thrust washer out first. Then it came up fairly easily. And I noticed a little bit of, it's showing there, a little bit of thread-like markings in this bore here, which I don't know what that's from. Hope it's okay. Shouldn't really matter too much because that shaft doesn't spin, but it's odd that it's marked up like that. Here's the goop in the bottom. So I'm going to clean that up, and main shaft. So I think the only tough thing left is getting a circlip off that's in here. Maybe it's here, I can't remember where, but get that apart next. Okay, here's the counter shaft components, starting at the engine end, distance piece, gears. I think this is the lay shaft. And this is the counter shaft that goes through it all. And thrust washers on each end. The trouble I found is, it's kind of hard to see in here, but the bottom surface here, it's all chewed up. It doesn't show, but and that matches the back of this washer that's pretty chewed up. And so I'm not exactly sure what to do there, if I could have that machined flat and then maybe put a small additional washer in here. Or maybe I have to get a new case here, I don't know. Okay, continuing with the overdrive disassembly, since I have the tranny all apart, except for I haven't taken this apart. This, which has got the difficult circlip, but I don't know that I need to. There is some movement here, but I don't know what the spec is, so I'm hoping I don't have to take that apart. So on overdrive, the solenoid's out. This is what's left of the crusty cover. I hope I can get that. And then I took off the lever arm, which has a spacer under it, just so I don't forget where that goes. I don't want to think it goes on the inside when it doesn't. So those are staying together. Okay, I removed the operating valve components. 7/16 inch bolt. It's got a copper washer spring that can go up inside of this guy. See if I can tip them up there. The spring can fit up in there. Plunger and ball. And then I guess I'm going to leave this now. I think you're supposed to leave it until you get the piston out. But this is the valve that is operated by this lever, which goes over here to the solenoid. So if I turn this, and so that guy moves this lever, which is currently sticking up, but this is the okay. Now I remove this cover, and there's a spring on there, so I'm supposed to, I guess, take these two off first, and then these bolts slowly to let the spring decompress, I guess. And leaving these nuts on just for added safety. You can see it's not coming off evenly, but I guess it's just the spring because it's very easy to move this so it's not binding up. Those are the two bolts, have the red on them. Okay, the two bolts are the same length, and these are, I think these are just flat wash. No, there's a split there. Those are really compressed spring washers, I guess. There's a little nub there that the spring rides on. And there's a O-ring for around the operating shaft here. I don't see much else. Now this spring should come out. Ugh, look at the sludge. And then there's a piston that should come out. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, this is just pull out. And I think there's still a piston in there? There must be. Alright, let's see if I can get that out next. These are actually flat washers on the bolts and very well used lock washers on the nuts. Here's the O-ring that was sealing the shaft there. I cleaned it up a little bit. There's the tube. Spring tube goes in this end first, so I don't do it wrong.